I have shot 2 music videos in my entire life, both of them for a band called Dead by April. The first one was incredibly stressful because we decided to shoot everything outside. You probably have seen the video, otherwise I'm gonna drop a link in the description. Recently I shot a video for Dead by April and their new single, Dreamlike. The downside here though was that I was sick. I had a wild fever throughout the entire shoot. But I wanted to make videos sort of like explaining the thought process behind the video and how I decided to go about to make the video. So let's have a look at the final project and then discuss everything about it, okay? You are ready?
It's been 20 long years of crying, not enough tears. I've become a summer for my fears.
Such a simple editing trick, actually. See that? When it hit the cymbals, it kind of like the whole dream effect kind of like faded off. Dreamy, a little bit of streets, very music video-esque. When he's singing Dreamlike, this sort of like dream rays are coming back. That's a nice touch to add it in. A little bit of pushing. Handheld effect. See that? Dreamlike? Yeah. I like this. See here, I kind of decided to put in the dreamlike effect on the entire band so that it's like a combination of both. You don't know what is reality and what is a dream.
Wanna know what it feels like? It's nothing but dreamlike. I wanna touch you now. Can it feel so right?
And here, they're meeting up in the dream. I like that. That guitar though. That's good. That ending, I like that. It's like, bam, done, finished. And I mean, like, come on, the tune? And that was actually the entire reason that I decided to do this video, because a couple of months ago, I was hanging out together with the drummer, Marcus, and we discussed about potentially making some sort of like music video again. But then everything kind of faded off, you know, everyone is doing their own thing until Christopher reached out and said like, hey, we're almost done with the new single. We would like to make a music video. Is this something you're interested in? We're gonna send it over to you. So I had to listen to this song and I instantly felt somewhat of a connection to it. I felt that it was good. I felt that I knew that I could create a storyline for that video in my head just by listening to the music. And that is also a good sign, because when you have something just by listening to a piece of music, that means that you're gonna have a way easier way of planning the music video. So I decided to start looking for a location for this song, and there was this place in Gothenburg, or it's just outside of Gothenburg, which is basically an old airplane hangar that is used as a museum. So it's an aeroseum. So I gave them a call and said, hey, I'm interested to see if there's a possibility to rent the place to be able to shoot a music video for Dead by April. And they said, yeah, there is. You can come down, you can have a look at the location and all that stuff. But we walked down, and then there's a bunch of these big ass jets everywhere, like old military jets and helicopters. And I immediately started to regret my decision to make the video there, because I didn't want to connect the video to sort of like war or any sort of war utility. But then we went down to sort of like an open area. We had this nice big open, sort of like garage door in the back that we could open up, turn off all the lights in the entire building. So we only had my lights, which was amazing. Said and done, I booked the place, and then we were ready for the shoot. So when I arrived to the location, I had a bad fever. I had been sick for a couple of days, but I didn't want to pass up on actually shooting this. I kind of knew how the entire video was going to be because I had written everything down beforehand. And the way that I write down my shot lists is actually very simple, and it's gonna look something like this. So basically, I wrote down what I was envisioning in my head. And I always try to be as thorough as possible so that I know how it's going to look when I'm reading through the shot list. Sometimes it can be super detailed, but sometimes it can look something like this. And I try to write down everything that I wanted to have and everything that I knew that I needed to have in order to make my vision come alive. So the storyline of the entire thing was that Pontus is sort of like trapped in his own dream, because he's meeting up with this girl and he doesn't know if it's right to actually give her a kiss, but he wants to do it so badly. So I wanted to capture the feeling of being trapped within yourself, not knowing how to escape. And the beginning of the video actually shows Pontus and his girlfriend actually running along the lines, trying to find a way out of the dream. So it kind of like starts with them trying to find each other in the beginning, and then you have the middle where they find each other, and then towards the end, they open up their eyes and they're both awake together, however you want to interpret it. But that is the way that I interpret it. And I wanted to have a very simple lighting setup for this music video, because I've been seeing a whole lot of different NAND lights being used everywhere and a bunch of different cool setups. But I wanted to try to make something simple for this music video, but yet have that really sick, epic looking effect. And what I did was that I placed two key lights so that I had like the main lights, and those were 300 watt lights set to daylight, 90 centimeter soft boxes. And then in the back, I decided to put down two 60 watt lights without any sort of soft boxes. So we have this harsh light coming from the back. And what I did with those was that I turned the white balance down as far as I could go. I think it's like 2000 or something like that. So we get this blue, hueish blue tint coming from the back. And I kind of angled them towards the drummer so that the drummer has sort of like a rim light on both sides of his face. And then both the guitarist and the bass player together with the singer is also going to be very nice lit up with the main lights and the rim lights. And the cool thing here was that we had the big lights turned on for the majority of the music video, but then we wanted to have somewhat of a change for the breakdown of the song. And that's where we shut the big lights off so that we would just have the backlit environment and the rim light of the band. And I think it turned out very well because it looks entirely different even though it's the same place. The camera that we used is this, the Sony FX6. One beast of a camera. I had so much fun playing around with this camera, especially since you can go from 800 ISO to 12,800 with the flick of a button, and then you jump into S&Q mode. It's like everything is just so simple when you're on a shoot with a camera like this. And to be able to know what kind of exposure and what kind of look I wanted to have on the video, I was actually using my new LUT, which is this that you're seeing right now, and that is called the Prime LUT. I have designed this over the course of a couple of months to be able to use for something like this, so that we have sort of like a teal and orange look. Fits very well to these kind of things. So I imported that into the camera, and I was able to see how the exposure, how the shot was going to look like, everything just on the monitor, which is great. When it comes to lenses, I went for the 14mm f1.8 GM lens. It is a little bit too wide in my opinion, but for this particular shot, it looked pretty darn good. I should have shook the camera a little bit less, but the reason that I shook the camera is to give it sort of like a little bit of a live feeling when the band is playing. When it comes to 14mm, it gets all wobbly out here on the edges, so should have toned down that just a little bit and we would have had a little bit better looking video, I think. I also used the 24mm GM lens to be able to shoot Pontus when he was standing within this room of stone that we found. And the reason that I wanted to shoot in this room was because I wanted to show how Pontus sort of like was trapped in his own dream and there was no way out. And if you look at those shots, there's stone everywhere. There's no way out. So he can't find his way out. He's just trying, he's smashing things and trying to find a way to justify what he's about to do. So together with 24mm, I also used the 90mm macro lens to be able to capture sort of like the close-up shots of the eyes and to be able to see them moving, you know, when the eyelids were closed. And I think it gave this really nice effect to jump between 24 and 90mm because they're so different when it comes to the focal lengths. And it's also great to be able to have sort of like different cuts between the two so that when you look in the video back, you're going to be able to jump between the different takes without feeling stale. And that is one of the key things when it comes to shooting a music video. Cannot feel boring at any given time when you're watching the music video back. It has to be something happening so that you feel that what you're listening to is sort of like enhanced with what you're seeing. And that is why I use the 7200 to be able to capture the band in both detailed but also a little bit of wide shots. And I felt like having the 70-200 GM Mark II was such a good thing. Not only because you have the possibility to go from 70 to 200 in a matter of seconds, but to have the aperture ring. Because when I was jumping between the different frame rates, such as 100 FPS, 50 FPS, and then 25 FPS, I also jumped between the different native ISOs. So I jumped between 800 and 12,800. And that also meant that I needed to go and adjust the aperture depending on which kind of shot that I used, which was so good. Instead of trying to, you know, flick around with the different NDs, I could just hit a button, go back to 25 FPS, stop down to like f5.6, shoot the video, and then go up to 100 FPS, stop down to 2.8, and it was just a constant flow of being able to do those things, which was very, very rewarding when I kind of understood why you should actually have an aperture ring on the camera. And it sort of made the entire shooting of the music video a whole lot easier. And we actually finished up the entire shoot in less than 5 hours, which is sick. The band was great. I had a great time, even though I had a high fever and felt like shit afterwards. But the footage came out great. I would say that if there's something that I learned from the music video, it is probably to try to grab even more different shots of the entire band, but also slow-mo with the different band members so you can just interconnect that. But I feel like slow-mo is something that you should know why you're shooting, not something that you should just shoot to add in there just in case. Because most of the time I felt like shooting at 25 is looking the best. That is the same feeling when I'm looking back at the music video. It's like shooting at 25 because they're singing at 25. 100 FPS or 50 FPS just to be safe is not something that I would recommend you to do. It's something that I think you should add on after you're done with your main shots so that you can just have fun with capturing whatever sort of ideas that you come up with. For all the course members of my Final Cut Pro course, link in the description, you're going to be able to access all this footage that you've seen in this video and edit your own version of this music video. So the cool thing with this music video was that I wanted it to be effect heavy. I wanted to have the separation between the dreams and realities. Sort of like in the beginning of the video, you can see Pontus, he's like sort of floating over himself. And to be able to get that effect, I just duplicated his layer and then moved it forward by 2 frames, dragged down the opacity opacity and then just play it back. By doing so, it kind of looks like he's sort of like a ghost, you know? It's this cool trippy effect that makes it really pop. And the effect that I used to get sort of like this dreamy look to the footage is from a plugin that Motion VFX has that's called M-Restyle. Can highly recommend this if you're shooting music videos. I like it a whole lot. And then for the intro and the actual title of the video, I of course used my M channel Cyber. It is a great pack. You can utilize it in the way that you want, but I think it suits very well for something like this. When it comes to letterbox, I decided to use MKBHD's letterbox together with sort of like constant zooms and a little bit of a push in on some of the shots instead of going in and keyframe everything from start and over. So if you're downloading this, I'm going to create a library that has both with the plugins and a library that doesn't have any plugins added to it. So you're going to be able to see both of them. But now you know my editing secrets. A little bit of a different video, but if you like this video, do give it a comment down below, and really hope that you will subscribe. Otherwise, I hope you had a good time at least, and I will see you in the next video, and have a good one. Peter från Sweden, saying goodbye.